Welcome back to another UFO video, friends. There is a wonderful clip I'm going to share with you in bits and pieces from Tom DeLonge. Now, I love his surname, DeLonge, as in to long the crypto bags, but he's going to share some interesting perspectives on the spirituality of the UFO experience. Now, before I even go into it, friends, of course, Tom DeLonge, he is from Blink-182, you know, all there. Small things, you know that song, friends? Well, yes, of course. Here's something really important. You're going to listen to some stuff, and you have to be mindful that he's been hanging around a lot of feds. So he's going to share perspectives on the UFOs, and you're going to see why in the UFO community, they think he's basically like a PsyOps agent, or they are manipulating and grooming him from that perspective. Now, ultimately, friends, you're going to hear some fantastical things, and they're pretty cool. But you got to have a perspective of, if you were a deep state military guy, maybe you're a bug eater, non-human intelligence yourself, and you wanted to groom the population a certain way, maybe do a fake alien invasion later on, you would hear his perspective. It's going to come across, there's some cool stuff in here, but sometimes you're going to hear a few things like, oh, that's a bit negative against the UFO, Mr. Alien Dude perspective. But man, oh man, it's going to get cool, friends. Let's go and have a listen.
To understand what the fuck's going on, and this is more important than knowing, you know? So it's pretty wild what's happening. I think, yeah, I mean, I've heard of the human mutilation stuff too. I mean, it's not like I can prove it, but those legends are definitely out there. We all know about the cattle ones. That stuff's way more easily proved. They've been studied a lot more. You know, but there's a lot of things that are really disturbing in the sense of where they're playing with our consciousness, whether they're taking it out of us, using it for different purposes, or like or some other reason. I don't know. There's also all the hybrid stuff going on. We hear all those stories and all those reports. There's genetic.
So just quickly, when he talks about the hybrid stuff, there have been for decades, people have been abducted. People have come back with incisions. There have been men who've been artificially, basically, you know, no easy way to say it, but they basically got to pump an alien, yeah! But they don't have anything on camera, so pics or it didn't happen. And yeah, friends, this has been happening, by the way, for like 100 years. There was a dude, I think it was in South America somewhere, alien egg lands down. He gets abducted, right? Middle of his farm. And he says he was in a room, just this white room. It's kind of amazing. I got to find that story. There was a depiction of it. He was in a white room, and they bring out, he said, one of the most beautiful ladies he's ever seen. She just comes out. And he said there was like a thing watching him in the corner of the room. And he got an erection and he fornicated with this alien. Now, I would like to ask him, what sex position did you do? It's kind of weird, right? But that's basically what happened, right? And they took away his sperm. And it's funny enough, I think when it was done, these two midget aliens came out. So these two smaller beings, they came out and had like these little hazmat suits on. And they came out probably to make sure that he doesn't get, you know, like radioactive poisoned or anything. Because that now we know after seeing so many stories that when we're exposed to them, others, things go really bad. Like, you know, your skin gets a bit burnt sometimes. Just wacky stuff happens. And basically, when he came back, he was sick for a week. His watch would never read anything but north. So his watch, which was his compass, it was like always spinning for like a week, and he couldn't sleep properly. He had nightmares when he came back, and he took the story to his grave. He had like grandchildren and everything. He was basically like saying, yep, this happened to me. So this hybrid story has been going on for a long time. There's also abduction stories of people going to a ship, and then the humans show, the Mr. Alien dude, could be Vitalik. They show basically a half human, half alien looking thing. And they're like, oh, that's actually yours. Okay, so there are these stories going on. Even John Mack, who was mysteriously killed, he was a Harvard University professor studying it. He died from a mysterious, dude, he was assassinated, dude. A random drunk driver killed him when he was visiting in England. And he was a Harvard professor. He was studying this experience. He had like 60 plus cases of people doing it. He's actually got his book out there. And yeah, so as you can see, this goes very, very deep. Let's continue with Tom DeLonge.
material taken from people, the implants, and people take the implants out all the time because people die. What are those implants doing? Are they there as an antenna, so you can find somebody, a marker, or are they there to help you hear voices and do what they want you to do? Or are they something else? There's also a scary thing.
Just one thing quickly, friends, as well. Lou Elizondo, he was talking about the alien implants recently as well, which I'll show you. It was actually this. You see this thing? The implants that actually move. Okay, so Lou Elizondo, I've recently got videos and stuff out there from his interview with Ross Coulthart. Shout out to Rossi Boo, one of the great Australian journalists. That's awesome, man. He's like full on UFO dude now. Now, the implant, when they looked at it under the telescope, he said it frightened the scientists who was looking at it. Because the implant had like these little like probe tentacles that was like it knew it was being watched, and it was metabolizing as well. So, and that was inside this little material thing here. Here you go, alien implant removed from American soldier, and had like this biomass. So that's what Tom DeLonge's talking about. He's like, man, these things come in, but he's now going to explain. Are they there to spy on you? Are they putting in thoughts? We have no idea, but they are there. Okay, so let's continue.
Things in the sense of where, people are starting religions and cults after UFO experiences and starting to move the directions of certain groups into chaos. And so you kind of look at the world as a whole and kind of go, why is there so much chaos all the time? Well, maybe by design. And I think as long as we don't know who we are and who they are and what they're doing, the chaos really works, for whatever reason they want. You have a lot of paranormal things that are happening in one area where you'll have, like everyone knows about Skinwalker Ranch. Well, there's more than that. There's more locations in Skinwalker, and you'll have these like cryptozoology type beasts there, but you'll also have UFOs, and you'll have the cattle mutilations, and you'll have like really scary paranormal things too. And so you're kind of like, why is it all happening there? Is it because there's a doorway there, or is there something?
I'm just going to quickly show you, friends. Skinwalker Ranch is here. There's a lot of paranormal activity out here. So you have, the spooky stuff. So Skinwalker Ranch, their cows got taken there a long time ago, but also Skinwalker Ranch Beast. Maybe if you can type it up here and see. So there are things. You see this, friends? You see that? You're like, whoa, that looks like a... Honestly, when I see that, I'm like, oh, that must be like a PlayStation game, Resident Evil 4 horror movie depiction. No. What actually happens, friends, is on Skinwalker Ranch, I know this is just like, they took pictures to make it look like scary and right, but a lot of it's just barren land. The American Indians that are living there for like hundreds of years, they've been telling everybody, the Americans who come, like, dude, don't walk across this land. They've known a Skinwalker. They call it a Skinwalker. And people see nightmares based off beasts in the middle of the night there. And it's different every time. One guy saw like a pterodactyl, like a giant pterodactyl, like big beast eyes. One guy saw like a giant wolf, like big eyes and stuff, and it scares you. So the American Indians, they're very, very in tune with this as well. I think I remember, friends, it was interestingly enough, American Indians, shout out to all the American Indian baby dolls. I wonder if there's any, my friend Tommy watches out here, American Indians. But apparently part of the brain, I forgot which part, that has like the spirituality realm, check kind of like your sixth sense. I think with American Indians, it was something like 5% bigger than the rest of the population. Almost like they're inherently kind of tuned to being a bit more spiritual and being open to seeing these things, okay? Like their antenna. So yeah, just adding some context. Let's go.
Something being beamed at us from a machine that your worst fears will materialize and happen in a sense like a hologram or something, some matrix type program, like we're all in Minecraft, and it just knows what your fear is, so it'll put something in front of you for whatever reason. Don't even know. But the other things that are really scary is when you get into which I've had conversations where people have wondered about, like Fukushima. It's like, was that caused by a UFO? They didn't get into at the time why they might have thought that. But then I asked, I said, well, why? And they said, well, maybe they were like, studying our response time on how to clean it up. Then I had one conversation I with somebody who was like,
so friends, that is, I never heard that. I'm like, whoa, Fukushima, friends. I just started trading. It was 2011. And, you know, Japan had the tsunami. I think I was around there. And yeah, there was like, oh, meltdown. It's basically some theories where people like some unexplained weird shit happened with the Fukushima, which is Japan Pokemon Island, with their nuclear reactor. And then he's saying, well, look, this is Fukushima, friends. Remember the nuclear reactor? It's like, look, the Fukushima Daiichi accident. It's always an accident, isn't it? Oh, just a random odd chances and stuff here and there. A lot of these things out here, friends. So, yeah, there's some theories, but some spooky stuff happened. I guess he heard, and he's thinking to himself, probably from other people, they're like, hey, was that by them, the zookeepers, non-human intelligence? Were they throwing a test to us to check, hey, can the humans even handle a nuclear explosion? How fast is their reaction time? Now, it makes you think as well, right? Let's play some gentle angel music just for all these things, because I know it sounds spooky for the first 5 seconds, and then you're like, oh, that's exactly what I would do if I was in control. Isn't it? Don't we do that to monkeys, by the way, in the zoo? You throw bananas. Hey, how fast do the monkeys run to the bananas? Oh, yeah, it must be really hungry. See what I mean? Now, we're just like 2D dimensional, one-dimensional type of beings, okay? So this thing is very, very, it does happen. Let's continue.
Why World War II? Like, why would they be involved in that? And it was perhaps to see who was stronger. And whoever the strongest is works for them. You know, and you're just like, you know, it's nothing I could prove. It's nothing that I could sit here and say, this is it. But this is the thinking that goes, you know, in the back rooms, is like, create a war and see who's strongest, and they work for us, you know? But I was also...
And so, because I got to tell you as well, there have been research historians. They've gone through the history of many battles of wars, thousands of years, friends, and they trace them back. And there are a lot of odd, strange peculiarities, however you say that word, when it comes to why he's fighting in the first place. I'm not joking. But historians, people have researched these, and they realize that, like, because it's journalists and they're too scared to write, oh my God, it's probably non-human aliens behind that. They're too scared to write that because they're like, you know, got families and they eat noodle soup and cut their steak properly. But me, I don't care. It's probably them. But is it a cop-out to say, oh, humans, we're good? It was for those dreaded aliens. So we're too dumb to understand. But there is some sort of force out there. By the way, friends, shout out to everybody out there who's ever worked in a hospital. Everyone knows full moon, it's like game over time. Even Randy Hilarski, remember, Randy was a nurse, a nurse for US Army. Was it psych nurse? Yeah, he didn't work full moons. He goes, oh yeah, you're a retard if you work full moons. People come out and go loopy. Now the thinking is because the moon, it controls all the gravity in the atmosphere, and a lot of stuff controls because it's probably hollow inside. It is hollow inside. It rang like a bell. Like if it just goes a degree off, it changes the water in our brains because we're like 70% water. But it's showing you all these things can like interlap and snowball. And there's a lot of things going on here that we can't really get the science for it yet. Let's continue.
Told that, you know, for the United States and its allies like Australia and the United Kingdom, that the risks taken were rewarded. And those risks were to stay underground for 70 years and figure out a way to push back. You know, so a lot of times people think, they're hiding secrets from us. You know, we need to know. Who do they think they are? Well, no, they're not hiding secrets from us. They're hiding it from them. You know, they don't want them to know what we're doing. But if they told us, everyone would know what they're doing. So I think we have this.
Okay. Now, this is where the Fed PsyOps starts. You get it? So what Tom DeLonge is saying, because he's hanging around a lot of feds, he's going to talk to you about him. He's like, oh, I feel for these government people. Look, he could be right, but we don't know, bro. I don't trust the government at all. And what he's basically saying is he's being groomed. You can tell. He's being groomed by them to some extent. And their perspective is, no. We're not hiding the UFO information from the general population. We're hiding it from the UFO alien dudes. Now, when I first heard it, I was like, I don't buy that, bro. I don't buy that at all. I'm going to have a very hard time believing the creator of anti-gravity tech, who can beam images in our heads, who's been playing and toying with humans for thousands of years, who probably created humans, genetic engineerings, right, added the telomere to make us age faster. All of this. You're telling me They're so stupid. They're like, whoa, look at those aliens over there in that little meeting room. Oh, I wonder what they're talking about. I can't figure it out. Golly gee. I guess we're just going to let the humans one-up us over the next 100 years. I don't think so, man. That's a long stretch. Explain to me how the hell the all-seeing mischief creator of all these, non-human intelligence, the good force, the bad force, the black, the white, the good, the light, all of these, how the hell do these all-powerful forces get to the blockage of like, oh, just these humans, man. You just, you know what I mean? They're just too powerful in their little meeting rooms. They're hiding a secret from us. What does a zookeeper do when they're looking through the bars and they're watching the monkeys? They're like, oh my gosh, those monkeys must be plotting something over there. What if the monkeys started moving? This is funny. What if the monkeys in the zoo started building a nuclear bomb? What's a zookeeper going to do? Oh, God, I wonder what they're doing over there. I can just see a giant nuclear bomb being built. So now let's continue, friends.
Kind of vanity about ourselves and how like we're the civilians, the civilian run, government. And I get that. I totally get that. But when I had that conversation, that it was being secret, not from us, but from them, and we're just included in the mix, because that's the only way it could work. I was like, I never thought of that. That's pretty heavy. That's a pretty crazy way to think about it if it's true, It's really always interesting when the generals will call them the others, It's interesting. That could mean plural, But I also know that like that one thing that always was unnerving to me was, we have the tendency to like the Nordics are good and the Greys are bad.
So what is he talking about there, friends? So the Nordics, there's Nordic Aliens. Nordic Aliens, just to show you, I'll show you their drawings. The Nordic Aliens, they're tall whites. And apparently they're good, or what they say, the Greys are the bad ones. One of them's bad. Apparently, I've heard the opposite. I think these are actually bad. I know. Why are they bad? But then you have, these are what they call the Nordics. I know, it's kind of fancy. I flipped out. I was like, my mind blew. I'm like, wait a minute, aliens are real? Wait, there's multiple races? I played video games where they have multiple races out here. I just thought they just made them up. No, it actually comes from people's experiences, which is hilarious to me. I was like, oh, I thought I was just playing people's imaginations. I didn't know these things have been reported like 1,000+ times, right? So let's continue.
From somebody, I can't say who, their perspective was, they're both from the same ones. Someone else created both of them, so we think there's a good one and a bad one, and it's not true. It's just like, okay, which makes sense. It's like we want to go take over a country, we would install 2 presidents and everyone would vote for one and we would win either way. It's like we control the good guy and the bad guy, but put them both into some third world country and whoever ends up winning is still working for us, so it doesn't matter. So I kind of thought that made kind of sense, I guess. I mean, it's a big game. Who knows? There's something to reality where, your brain is a transducer and you're transducing consciousness into a physical reality. So like if you really believe that there's a tree around the corner, the tree will manifest. And they're proving this on a quantum physics level with the double slit experiment and so on, that matter is dictated by what you feel and what you think. Unconsciousness is not local. And so then you kind of go, okay, so we have a reality that is literally created by mass consciousness. We all believe there's mountains and trees and boats and planes, so there are. And that's literally what they're discovering in laboratories now. So then you kind of go, well, can these things exist here unless we believe they do? Maybe we have to know about them for them to come here more readily, That's a real fear of mine. Like because after I had my experience in the desert, guess what was created 3 months later? To the stars. It's like, boom. And then you're going to go, oh my God, what did I do? But I also think that, again, the spiritual evolvement of mankind is the defense against things that are coming here that don't have that same spirit, So I still think that I'm on the straight and narrow. So
I'm hoping you're having an appreciation. We're going to go a bit more deeper as well. It's really interesting, isn't it? But on you guys, friends, I've kind of heard, I'm like, hey, he's being like groomed by the US generals and stuff. Like, bro, like obviously you got some sick songs, okay? You shaped a lot of teenagers' lives. Do you generally think a pop star, a music star, bro, I don't care who I am. I got a helicopter hat. Okay, I got a peanut brain. You think the US government is going to bring you in and start dropping some truth shit on you? Really? You think these generals are going to come in bro, come on, man. You got to get a grip. Okay. You've been holding a microphone your whole life. You know what I mean? I'm a peanut brain. I've been holding a mouse my whole life. I'm clicking buttons on the internet, hoping my crypto bags go up. Over my dead body, are you going to convince me that some military general is like, my friend Tommy, I am now going to tell you the truth about spirituality, the aliens. Yeah, which side of the aliens are you going to tell me, buddy? Which side are you going to tell me? You're going to tell me your side. You know, so everyone's on that scale of gullibility, right? How agreeable you are. You know, Jordan Peterson talks about that as a lot. So, but I appreciate this type of discussion, but you can kind of see where this is going. You can kind of see how he's like, hey, they're a threat. We don't know. And then we're like, you can see like, oh, you really are building up to that fake alien invasion thing later on, aren't you? Let's continue.
But if I get off that path, one of you guys got to tell me. It happens. I mean, it happens to abductees. It happens to, you know, I saw someone put up the question about Chris Bledsoe earlier, popped up. You know, Chris Bledsoe believes, and he's a wonderful person, and he's had some of the most profound experiences I've heard from anybody. But he's on a mission to tell everybody how beautiful it is and how amazing it is. And that is a major red flag in my book from what I know about this stuff. And so you always got to ask yourself, well, what mission are you on? What are the possible outcomes from that? So I'm always challenging people that are in this field to like think through the good and the bad of their mission, you know, because you might be doing exactly what is expected and wanted of you. But it also doesn't mean that that's the only thing putting the mission in you, you know, because if we all are part of something beautiful and amazing, we all have that divine spark in us, you still have the ability to have really loving, beautiful things put within you to get something done in this realm, you know, in my book. So
interesting, some deep philosophical perspective for your friends. There's always good and bad. There's always good and evil. Okay? It's been here since the beginning of time. It'll always be here for the beginning of time. Good always prevails at the end. Why? Evil, it turns out, evil likes to centralize in power. Good likes to spread out and be decentralized. It doesn't like to give concentrated power, which makes you think about Satoshi and Bitcoin and having this. That's why Max Kaiser believes Satoshi got like a divine channeling from God himself. He's saying like it was a divine intervention. Like you discovered Bitcoin and put it out to the world. Like, hey, let's make the truth tellers across the whole world. Let's decentralize it. That's what the nodes all are, right? That's the proof of work and everything out here, okay? So evil friends, the dictators, they like to basically get all the power in one area. Now, here's the thing. Evil always gets this short-term advancement. He always gets an advantage in the short term because it's always trying to concentrate. However, eventually evil gets toppled. You want to know why? Because evil doesn't like to work with each other. So when evil starts concentrating too much, good, the light, right, that basically coordinates itself to start taking on whoever the big bad dude is, okay? All through armies in history and all these. Now, they always say, you know, the victors write the story, but you see this even playing out, always playing out, okay? So we know this is a microcosm of basically how everything works, good and evil. So you always remember that evil, evil, you're always like, evil in the world, but you just know that, you're going to fall over each other because evil, friends, it never likes to hand out power. That's why it's evil. It always wants to keep it for itself. And so whoever's like concentrating power, you know, like evil dictator, etc., eventually it topples and then it resets. And basically good's defeated evil and then so begins the whole cycle again. So kind of makes sense as well. Maybe, friends, maybe our lifespans are shortened for a reason. Maybe we are like that. Maybe we're not meant to live for 500 years yet. Maybe them, God, the above, the divine, whatever it is, maybe they're like, these humans, they're a bit too primitive right now. If I give them a 500-year lifespan, one of them is going to like really mess things up. I've got to reset them to zero, and then they've got to basically advance over the next thousands of years, and they've got to figure out how to make themselves live longer with all the bioengineering and all this other stuff. So reverse engineering this, it makes sense. It does. But obviously, writing it out in a story sounds like you're a lunatic. Let's continue.
But these are big existential questions that's really hard to ask, you know. But anybody that's going around saying UFOs are good and they're here to help us, they're going to save us from catastrophe, get them as far away from you as possible, because that is not the fucking case per what I know. So we had all these plans, but then...
So friends, he's talking about Stephen Greer. Dr. Stephen Greer believes the UFOs, he's in the UFOs are good camp, and it's man that's corrupting these things. That's what he's in the camp of. And then... But Dr. Stephen Greer is like totally non-Fed. He's like anti-Fed. He's like, Dr. Stephen Greer believes Tom DeLonge. He's like, oh man, he's a PsyOp agent. He's like being groomed. But he probably doesn't even know that they're feeding him the stuff. Friends, it's Coconut Intelligence Agency, bro. They know exactly. They're the masters of manipulation. You know what I mean? And you're deep in there. You know, they know what to do. They know how to basically groom you. You know what they do? Friends, look at Taylor Swift and all the big influencers and music artists. They all get groomed because they control the population. They control a lot of people, okay? So that's what he's talking about. And his perspective is, oh, they're bad. We don't know. Because remember, friends, if you don't know, you automatically assume bad. That's humans, okay? When there's a bit of doubt, you're like, oh, I don't know your intent. You could be a threat. They always use the word, you're a threat. You're a threat. I don't know what you're doing. You're capable of all these things. Fake alien invasion. I'm telling you now, man, it's all building up to it. Let's continue.
COVID hit. So during the 2 years of government shutdowns, government contracts got shut down, all the investment got shut down. We were never able to see it come to fruition. The Vault project with the material is in the government's hands. What I can say about that is they have some ideas of what it can do. I can't talk about what that is, but they are deeply studying that at multiple national laboratories affiliated with the Army and their Combat Futures program. So as soon as they allow us to talk about it, we will be. But they are taking their time and they're digging through it. So that's still happening.
Baby dolls, if you were trying to manipulate someone, one of the things you do is, friends, you give them like Reddit moderator status. You give them some power, so then they hold on to the power. And now they don't want to lose the power if they basically cross you or they don't listen to your rules. Okay, so have you noticed with Tom DeLonge, he's saying, oh, there's things I can talk about on these other projects I can't. So they basically read him in to some like low-level tier trash stuff, right? You see it, friends? Once you're in the government, man, of course, you're being pumped from every corner. You can't trust anybody. You just know it's whole ball of mess. It's like it's interesting as a perspective to think about. So let's continue.
And to the stars, like our focus now is because of COVID and everything, we were not able to raise the money to do scientific projects that we wanted to do.
Check this out part now.
There's been a lot of people that would work in various basements of the government and would be able to have conversations with people in the media, but it's really tricky. It's super illegal. Like the CIA can't go to the media and say, I need you to print this story. That's like highly illegal, but it does happen. You know, so when it happens, it's either super covert or super trusting situation, and it just needs to happen or whatever. It's literally only by presidential authority can they have a government office go and persuade the public or public opinion. I learned that in a very big way.
So you can already see he's like, oh, it's very illegal for the Coconut Intelligence Agency to get a journalist to write a PsyOps article for them. Bro, have you seen the news media? It's literally entirely PsyOps. By the way, friends, YouTube headquarters have Coconut Intelligence Agencies and deep state operatives there. Okay, they're everywhere, dude. They're in every news network, and you do the same if you had to maintain US dollar dominance. They got eyes and ears everywhere, man. You think, oh, golly gee, that'd be illegal. You mean the guys who just put a bullet through Donald Trump's head? You think they're not going to follow the rules? Come on, Tommy.
But you have a lot of really great people, great men and women and patriots that care about the right thing, that'll figure out a way to get done what needs to have to get done, you know? I don't know of any other musicians or actors or entertainment focused people that ever had an experience like mine. Mine was like pretty unique in the sense of where I was kind of the Lone Ranger doing this stuff, and then busted out a few doors and happened to be brought in to a group of people that realized that what I already knew and what I was preparing to do mapped up with their goals, you know? And so,
so let me translate for you. Friends, the government, they have personality tests. You know that, right? You know, to work for the Coconut Intelligence Agency, they look for a different type of pathological personality compared to somebody who's a police officer and stuff. So there are different characteristics. And yeah, if you are a Coconut Intelligence Agency person, if you're high in empathy, you don't pretty much make it. You have to have low empathy. You have to just follow orders mechanically, because there's a lot of things you got to do that are totally illegal if they're done on American soil, but you got to do it to like kill somebody from another country. Okay, he's got 3 cute kids, doesn't matter. They've got to be killed. So they look for people very low in empathy. But there are other government jobs that look for high empathy. All right, so they can tell Tommy, once he starts throwing down some doors, you think one of them didn't figure out, oh, this guy's pretty agreeable. Let's throw some tests his way. Let's see if we can trust him, because he's easily malleable, which means you can basically morph him to his opinion. Look, he's already talking to us like, hey, man, there's these government people, they're doing their best. The aliens are a bunch of tricksters and all these. Come on, bro, get the fuck out. You're telling me anti-gravity guys don't know what's going on? Come on, man. But it is an interesting perspective to have, friends. So it just continues.
They didn't need to do anything illegal with me. I was able just to ask them questions that weren't related to classified programs that I was being pretty clever about it, which helped me just get rid of a lot of the disinformation that was already in my books. Not my books I was running, but just like my knowledge base, you know, like I knew that I probably knew a lot of things that were not real, but I probably knew a lot of things that were. And so I really focused on trying to weed out the things that were not real. But where we are now, it's like so much of this is now being like littered around Congress and different places in the government that I would not be surprised at all that this stuff is starting to leak into different media entertainment type circles. I just don't think there's anyone out there that has a grasp of the stuff the way I do. I've been really strategic as who I surround myself with.
So you can say is having this a bit of like your personal stuff. It's like, hey, I've got a big grip on this, and you know, there's a reason they're telling me about it. You see, friends, you can kind of see where this whole thing is going. Whereas, look, by the way, just these, not even nothing but the truth here. My UFO videos, friends, they would be banned if I had 1 million subs, and I came to my shock, even if I'm using code words. I looked up Praveen Mohan. He's been reporting on ancient Indian Hindu temples. They talk about the Nagas, reptilian humanoids. The ancient Hindus, they're in the text, man. They're writing about them. Well, you're not allowed to write about stuff they wrote about 3,000 years ago. What's the controversy with that? Well, why is there a controversy with that? Makes you think. His videos get deleted and shadow banned. So they're really trying. And he said 600 to 900,000 subs, no problem. As soon as he cracked 1 million YouTube subs, it all started happening. They started targeting him. And friends, he's not even doing like eye-opening stuff like me. All he's doing is going to, by the way, it's very eye-opening. He's going to literally ancient Indian Hindu temples that were made like 3,000 years ago and going through their paintings and the stuff that they've depicted and showing the reptilians and stuff on there. He's not even doing anything. There's no guesswork. He's just showing you, oh, they drew reptilians and stuff out here, and they're going after him. Shocking, right? Let's check out Tommy Boy again.
Helped me succeed was I made sure I surrounded myself with people from various agencies, because it's like if you talk to a military guy with stars on his shoulder, they're very black and white. They're very like, you know, they care, you know, it's this or it's this. But when you talk to somebody from the CIA, they're like all gray. They're like, what about all the weird shit that happened to Skinwalker Ranch, or what if and what if and what if and what if? So you get these various perspectives on, you know, intention and what it all means, and the good, the bad, the ugly, you know. And so having people from aerospace, Department of Defense, different intelligence communities, executive branches, so on. You start to get like a really wide net you can cast, and then everyone can sit at a round table and discuss it to some degree. But they're all still like, technical advisors to the government. They all have polygraphs. They all have their high clearances. So everyone's got to be really careful.
Yeah, I might.
And a lot of times they can talk about something.
So you can already see the psyops and stuff. Now, friends, we're going to get to some real juicy stuff. And when I mean juicy stuff, friends, I'm going to play... Get ready for this part. Now, this part's trippy, all right? Because you're going to hear some stuff. I'm just going to give you a sneak peek, okay? Government agents, he said, when you get read in, when they start teaching you about what the non-human intelligence do, the tricks they do, they're abducting people from time to time, doing experiments, dropping them off. There's people who've been given nightmares and beams and all these things that they do. He says, once you start to learn about it, just reading about it, people, government agents at home start to see the entities. They appear to them, which I'll get goosebumps talking about it. That's crazy. It's like once your eyes start to know it's possible, you start manifesting, and like there's a beam connection out here. Okay, so I'm going to let him do the talking. Let's go.
Be really careful.
Yeah, I might.
And a lot of times they can talk about something, and it's like, then I'm sitting there, and they're like, why is this dumb guitar player sitting at this people? Why advise them all? No, but if you have things that are coming here that can control what you think, and it can control what you feel, it can control what you know. It can create holograms. It can create a burning bush that talks to you. It can create, angels in the sky. I mean, Chris Bledsoe would basically be tortured with these poltergeist events, and then a beautiful girl would come out and give a gift. That's like a weird slug. And you're like, wait, what does that mean? Then you have the Mojave incident where a guy and his wife were tortured for like 8 hours. And then like had to feel like she was being raped over and over again, and he had to feel like he was being skinned alive because he was a hunter. So they're reliving these traumas, and then at the end, a little white girl shows up with the same girl because we're so sorry about that, and you're like, wait, what? Like, what's that all about? And so you have these things that can do so much to us that it really makes it tricky to understand, like, why? Like, what is this? What is it about us that they don't have or they want, and what are they willing to do to get it? That's the problem with this, is we have all these checks and balances to keep secrets for good reason.
So it's a bit trippy, right? Where some weird nightmare stuff happening, you're seeing stuff, poltergeist, what's going on, and then the beautiful white girl appears. Sorry, bye-bye, boop. It's crazy, man. They know how to fool humans. Fool. It's like, by the way, we shouldn't even be laughing. That's what the government does. Uh-oh. Is there a world zombie virus? Sorry about that. We do it too. Just say sorry and move on. Wild times, friends. It goes even more wacky. Let's go.
There's like really from my understanding, there's no office like in the Pentagon or, at CIA that's all around. Like, how do we take our secrets and teach everybody about it? It just doesn't exist. They have offices to declassify things, and they're trying to do as much as they can, but it's not really about like, something major that we have to dig into and really explain to the American people or to the world, So there's offices to keep things quiet, and there's offices to make things that are like non-flammable, just to put those out. But there's no offices to deal with this subject and try to figure out how to like educate the world. I think that's why people took a little bit of risk to work with me, because they didn't have to educate me massively on it. They definitely didn't have to educate me with anything classified. So it just worked out. It worked out well, but I have so much, I really do. I really have so much compassion for all these government guys. Like I used to be like most UFO researchers were like, I deserve to know. This is all about money. And who do they think they are? And then I get kind of brought into these circles and the conversations.
So it's Stephen Greer is one of those people saying that. He's like saying, and by the way, it is confirmed. Yes, Cockheed Martin and Skunk Works, Boeing, they do have the UFO tech. There's been so many stories, friends. I've got videos on them coming out where they're like, oh yeah, they just in the American base, like Wright Patterson, they're like, yeah, how these things completely fully levitates and they're manipulating and stuff over time. They can do these things, but once again, we don't know. Do they know some stuff where they're like, hey, These guys aren't all good. There's a concept out here, friends, you got to understand as well. This is where it's beyond our comprehension, and we'll never know the answer yet. Might not in this lifetime, maybe soon, you never know. But it's obvious we're being designed to keep fighting as humans. Killing, maiming, okay? It is very obvious. The human struggle is always there. But we don't know if it's because there's an evil force that is feeding off that energy, or because it's for the betterment of us to progress. You don't know. That's why there's two perspectives. It's definitely happening, but that's what you don't ultimately know. The evil energy feeding, that's people going like, well, it's all evil, they're all bad, alien invasion, it's all bad. There's that perspective. And then there is the other perspective where, yeah, you know what, man? If you were in a gym and you were trying to train your friend, but you couldn't talk to him, and your friend would get the weights, imagine you could just make the weights heavier on him, and it would be like, it'd be like super strong. He's trying to bench press, and he put like an extra 10 kilos on, and he's like, someone's trying to kill me. And then he like struggles out. He finally struggles out. Maybe he hurts himself, almost shakes himself while he gets out. What would your friend go around and say? He'd go around and say, some ghost out there tried to freaking kill me, man. But you know, wait, I just try to make you stronger, bro. You see that? We don't know what the right answer is. Do they know? Maybe.
So I'm going, oh my God, I had no idea. I was so naive. I was so ignorant to like the stakes involved. It seems flying out the ocean, turning nuclear weapons on, taking people in the middle of the night, doing circles around our planes, you know, like driving people crazy, starting religion. I mean, it's insane. Like, if all that is true, it's like, oh my God, like, I don't want that job. That seems like a horrible job to have. You watch these movies about people that are like, you know, hunting down spies or serial killers and stuff. They just seem like they lose their families, they lose their marriages, they become alcoholics. I mean, it's horrible. It's like you're working in a really dark system, you know, and I think that's really what it's like. I really believe that. I got to go back to the studio. I was just going to say that, you know, I don't want to be rude, but I'm right in the middle of a major deadline on this record that's supposed to be done 3 weeks ago. That ain't happening. No. We're in a duality where it's equal. I think we're in a situation where there is no more hope than there is like fear and chaos. I think it's like kind of equal, the yin and the yang. I think there's two systems in the event horizon. It's physical matter. And I think that it will it's designed to continue exactly the way it is. So it's super important that you carry the light, you know. It's super important that that love is like there, or else the chaos will take over the whole, you know. So it's just
so deep philosophical, friends. I actually want to play the last 20 minutes, but yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Going through all of these. But you can see these perspectives, and maybe they're just part of that natural process, almost a democratic process. What are people going to believe? You can kind of see, like, there's a bit of, you can tell the grooming. Oh, they have the worst job in the world. Oh, do you have anti-gravity tech and 100-year-old type of technology that can, like, shoot us 1,000 years into the future? Oh, poor guys. Come on, bro, get a grip of yourself. Come on, bro, you're a music artist. You got keyed. Coconut Intelligence Agency. What do you think? You think it's real? I know it's real. Not even a question. Do you think... it's not even a question if it's real, okay? We're beyond that. Do you think it's more towards they're feeding energy off us fighting? Or do you think it's more towards it's a necessary growing pain? This is how we advance as humans. Interesting, deep, philosophical questions. It also gets a bit cringe when always you hear them talk about love. What love, bro? I was put on this blue earth, this ball of water. I'm walking around with a helicopter hat. You make this financial system, but this is just a game. You just can push a button and get money. I have to solve the human deep mechanics of thought and psychology and this crypto Ponzi stuff just to get some of these currency units. And then I'm freaking dead before I know it. It's a different game we're playing, friends. It's interesting to think about, though. I'm leaning more towards a balance. I'm leaning more towards good can't be good unless it's fighting something evil. I'm leaning more towards that. Where do you stand? I want to hear your thoughts, friends. Like, subscribe, bell button, or catch you in the next one.